For Global Business Update, Michael Wilson joins us now from London. Good morning, Michael.
Morning. Asia Pacific. Now, again, fairly mixed this morning. Reason being that the debt ceiling talks have been going on in the United States. No particular end to those. But the operative word here is yet, because people still hope that agreement will be reached. The question is, what kind of cost will that be? June the 1st is still the deadline. So very, very mixed as far as the Asia Pacific markets are concerned. The G7's final communique about not decoupling from China, but sort of decoupling is quoted here as being seen as impossible and dangerous. Analysts are sort of agreeing with the G7 about this, and that they should engage with China but not decouple from it completely at the same time. Staying on what they decide and what they think is going to be the side of law and correct behaviour. So there's a lot for G7 to do, but it's getting the stamp of approval from analysts around the world. Thailand, here's a mystery for you. Now, they've just had elections there. We were talking about that last week. It looks like the Move Forward party has won, but things could change over the next few weeks because they have to get a certain kind of majority, which they don't have right now, and it could be that the Conservatives within the country that don't want anything to change necessarily still manage to thwart those votes by changing the system. Again, an economy which is dependent upon tourism, and it will get a lot of that, particularly from China. But the elections still continue to mystify most people, apart from locals there. Japan's economic activity, it's worth pointing out as well, we've been consistently saying that their stock market is doing very well indeed. Their service sector PMI, Purchasing Managers Index, came in at 56.3, much higher than expected. So Japan doing really well. As far as the United States is concerned, I've sort of alluded to that already. Yes, certainly the debt ceiling talks are continuing, but it's a question of yet. Apparently, Biden has been saying that they've been productive. Today, we're going to hear about retail in the United States and also about housing starts as well. So there's a lot to go for. Meta, Facebook's owner, has been fined 1.3 billion dollars, 1.5 billion euro, because of data that they have apparently been sending from the EU, particularly Ireland, and that's where Facebook's European headquarters are, in Dublin, to the United States. And again, a big fine there, part of what I think is going to be an ongoing legal challenge to some of the big tech players. Global containers. Now, here's a sort of nitty-gritty thing that tells you a lot about trade. The actual construction of global containers, companies like Maersk, for example, that have them made for them, they're going to put a halt to that till 2024. There are a lot of empty containers actually piling up in China, blocking up ports there, because of the fact that global trade after the pandemic surge is now falling back very slightly. Germany is within the EU is actually seeing foreign direct investment up 261% in 2021. Now, it is the United States, it is Switzerland, but it's also the UK as well. The thought is here that many UK companies are actually going to Germany so that they do have a foothold in Europe after Brexit. One of those is the company behind Sports Direct, which is a big feature of the high streets here. It's called Fraser, and they're starting a distribution centre at a Western German airport. Bond buying is particularly is getting very, very important right now. Reason being, interest rates have brought prices down, therefore yields are higher, and people are actually buying bonds very much more heavily than they were. Okay, let's turn to the UK, and Labour is making its voice heard. What Labour wants to do is to make sure that the pension funds, of which there are many in the United Kingdom, are actually joining together and directly investing in some of the UK's more innovative more forward-looking companies. Rachel Reeves, the Deputy Chancellor, is in New York as we speak, trying to sell the idea of Britain to New York. The public sector borrowing figures came in, which are relatively high. I'll come on to those in a moment. Let's stay with the UK and talk about concerns of inflation. Very, very high indeed. 6 out of 10 feel that those people surveyed feel that inflation will not be dealt with satisfactorily by the financial authorities. And Wednesday's data, tomorrow's data, should show a sharp decline in headline inflation, but we'll see about that. That doesn't necessarily take into account core inflation, of course. And I did allude to those public sector borrowing figures. The borrowing of the government's coming much higher than expected, 25.6 billion for April alone. That's coming up to a 90-odd percent, 92% of GDP, which is relatively high. And that's been kept up there by inflation and also the continued support to household energy bills from the government. Finally, oil. It's looking at the debt crisis. It's sort of creeping up 0.4%, but still not very high. And gold, it's $1960 an ounce is seen as a key support. Maybe there'll be some major correction there. It really depends on the debt ceiling figures and how the United States actually go. We've got Fed minutes, of course, tomorrow, which will tell us a little bit about interest rate thinking in the United States. That's the global view this morning.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. I understand we don't have more time. Otherwise, I would have loved you to comment on the pasta crisis in Italy and the emerging acrimony at Shell's annual shareholder meeting. Maybe tomorrow. Thank you very much indeed.